Well, let's talk about protecting what we do have then. We've talked about antibiotics, clothing. What are the biggest insults on a day-to-day basis us here in the West maybe don't even know about that are having this negative impact on our microbiome?
I would say plastics in the house are a really big one because that's an inhaled. So you mentioned polyester, like when we wear polyester, but our furniture, our carpet, our paint, right? A lot of this is plastic, and those microplastics are inhaled. And it's very difficult to get those out, and they really do damage the microbiome. I've written a couple just like fun blogs when I have some free time. I'll do that, and I've done a series on the fabrics in the house and that kind of thing, and what microbes affect it. So you're welcome to read those. But that would be a big one. Another one would be to get outside. I can't tell you how hard it is. I mean, to get people outside. I don't know if there's any other practitioners out there. It is really hard to get people outside. And it's not necessarily for lack of them wanting to go outside, but their jobs command them to be at a computer, and then they also have kids and they have to drive places. But this indoor living is a huge problem for the microbiome. It also doesn't help with all the mold issues that we have, right? If you look at houses in the Florida Keys, they have a lot more airflow, same amount of mold as in Miami, but the Miami houses have far more problems because of the lack of airflow. So airflow is pretty important, right? And we have closed houses, unless you're one of those lucky ones who lives in the South, and you open your doors. It's so nice. But yeah, so I would say those things, and our breathing rate is a big one. Most of us don't think about breathing, but the rate at which we breathe, the speed at which we breathe, affects what we can detox, moves our microbiome. That's another big one. And then light and sound, because light and sound are a large part of how the microbiome moves, right? Drums can command fungi under the forest and all sorts of magical things.
You've told that story before on the show. Very
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah, so trying not to use the fake stuff as much as possible. Like, either don't wear jewelry or wear gold or silver. Um, uh, Replacing one thing at a time so it's not overwhelming, and having grace with yourself because we've all been born into this stew, and having as much fun as possible while doing it because laughter really is the most important medicine. So, this whole thing is a real comedy of errors that we're in right now.
I agree. What about herbicides, pesticides, glyphosate in that realm? How big of an issue are those when it comes to the microbiome?
They're a really big issue, but they're a bigger issue because we have certain microbes that should be removing those, and we're losing those microbes. So with heavy metals, with herbicides, we do have protection that does come within us if we are born and raised naturally and fed in the right cycle. So it's not a doomsday. In fact, when I get someone who's been harmed by one of those, we'll start planting some of the microbes that can help process those out of the body and handle those. So yeah, there's a way forward with that.
Okay, and I know there's keystone species. I believe Alberta that you talked about is one of those.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because it can be so daunting to think about this 200 microbe
Yeah.
burst stew that hopefully we were born through,
Mm.
if we start working on some of the keystone ones, does that often have a trickle-down effect?
It does. Yeah, they help each other actually. Yes. So they come in little packs, just like the little pseudopathogens do. And so if you don't have, in fact, this is how some of the carnivore tribes do so well with their microbiome, because if one of the birth microbes doesn't have its normal food, some of the other birth microbes, if they're there, can actually provide the food for it. And so they maintain that healthy microbiome. So the more of the birth microbes you have, the less trouble you have because they help each other. They volley each other up.
If you enjoyed that clip, you're going to want to head over here and catch a full episode. I'll see you over there.
We're all born with about 200 very important microbes, and they're starting to go endangered. Now we're lucky to get a handful. We're missing a lot of them, and I think as soon as the public starts to learn about how important these are, there's going to be a massive race.